Hi everybody and welcome to the Disney Q&A. This is the series in which you guys send me all manner of questions regarding Disney, whether it's about the shows, the movies, the parks, the history, and I try to give you answers to the best of my ability. As always, we are in the game of Minecraft, in the Minecraft version of Disney, although today we are at the Magical Dream server, which is the Minecraft recreation of Disneyland. We're going to walk around and check out some of the rides while I answer your questions, so let's just jump right in. So we've got one, let's go with the Bowie Badger here, who asks, do you think Disney should partner with LEGO to create a Disney Park series? Interesting idea, Bowie. I don't think they should. Here's the thing. We're different, all of us watching. We're diehard Disney fans, and we love the parks, but I feel like the parks aren't so beloved that people would want to play video games about them. I mean, take a look at the Connect Disneyland game. I feel like its reception is sort of reflective of how the general public sees the parks. That said, Disney and LEGO I think would be a great combination. And they've made the LEGO Marvel games, so I mean, they have a working relationship with Disney. I assume Disney just wants to protect its IP to an extent, but I think it'd be really cool to see them do some Disney LEGO games. Maybe based on some of the newer games, like newer movies like Big Hero 6, things like that, or maybe some of the older ones. You know what? Now that I think about it, I know exactly why they're not, and that's because they want Disney Infinity to be that platform. That would be my guess. That's probably why we haven't seen any Disney LEGO games recently. I'm all burpy today. Our next question comes from Andrew Birch, who asks, do you think there will be a Gravity Falls ride? After all, it is the #1 animated show. Is that really true? Is it the #1 animated show? I feel like that's a wide category. Maybe the #1 animated show on Disney. Do I think there'll be a Gravity Fall ride? Realistically, no. I would love to see one because I think Gravity Falls is a really cool cartoon. You should check it out if you've never seen it before. I think it's really funny. I think it's a cartoon that's great because it's entertaining for children and adults at the same time. And anything with Kristen Schaal I will watch immediately. I love her. She's fantastic. What I could see is something more ancillary to the parks. Think of like the Kim Possible adventure in World Showcase, which I guess became the Phineas and was it Phineas and Ferb or the Platypus? I don't know these cartoons as well as the stuff from when I was a kid, but it was the Kim Possible thing. I can see it something like that being made, where it's not like an attraction or a ride, but it is something to do with the parks related to the property. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe they will do it. It's hard to tell, but that would be my guess. Our next question comes from Dr. Minecraft Boy, who says, hey Rob, we are going to Disney World. We can do 2 parks before spring break starts. What parks should we do? Thanks and have a magical day. So this question, I'm not sure where you're coming from. Do you mean like you can do 2 parks and then spring break means you leave Disney? Or do you mean you'll be there for pre-spring break and post? Which ones should you do before spring break rushes? Thing is, spring break in the United States is sort of a rolling event. It's different places have different weeks for spring breaks. So I don't think there's like a set date where it's like, this is spring break and this is the popular week. Although I'm sure there are surge weeks. I would say then you'd want to do Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios because I think they have the most e-ticket attractions. And those are the ones that are going to see the heaviest lines during spring break. And so you'd want to get those out of the way, you know, before those lines pick up. If you mean you could only do 2 parks and then that's it for the whole trip, I always say Epcot and Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom's a given, right? You got to go to the Magic Kingdom. It's where it all started, at least with Disney World. And it's got like so much. There's so many rides. And then Epcot's my personal favorite. And I think between the food and the attractions, it's a really great pick. Although Hollywood Studios is a close one. The only one that I would be quick to say you can skip is the Animal Kingdom. And who knows, that might change in the future. Our next question comes from You Keep Chopping Online, who says, since the hat is almost gone, would you think that they would remove another icon from the parks? Also, what would you remove if this would occur? Finally, how do you feel about the downtown expansion? Nope, I don't think they'd remove another icon. You have to remember the hat wasn't originally there. The hat was added later. But you think to the other icons, Spaceship Earth, Cinderella's Castle, the Tree of Life, those were there from day one of the park's existence. So I don't see why they would remove it, you know, and I think the hat is being taken down is meant to signify a shift in where Hollywood Studios is going as an entire park. So maybe, I guess, if they decided, hey, tomorrow the Animal Kingdom's not going to be about animals anymore, maybe they would do it. But I don't think that would ever happen, to be honest. I think Hollywood Studios is a unique case. And as for the Downtown Disney expansion, I don't know. I'm interested. I'm interested to see how it goes. I have my faith in the Imagineers that they'll make something great. I'm more of a fan of fanciful and, you know, whether it's fantasy or sci-fi, just something out of the ordinary. And it looks like it's more of a normal looking, like really nice, but more of a normal looking area. So, I mean, to that, I would have done it a little differently. But, you know, I think whatever they'll put out will be good. Next question, let's bounce to this side of the screen, comes from Sarah Decusian. I know you say I don't have to try and pronounce your last name because it's Dutch, but I want to try. Sarah Decusian. That's what I'm going to decide it is. What hotel do you think needs the most updating? I personally think Caribbean needs it because Nemo is from Australia, not the Caribbean. But I think a nice pattern or solid color would be better, but that's just my opinion. So what's yours? I feel like I can't comment on this until I've stayed at the resorts, and the resorts I've stayed at were pretty much all of the All-Stars. I've stayed at the Contemporary, the Boardwalk, and the Port Orleans Riverside was the one. I stayed at French Quarter too, but I was really, really young, so I don't really remember it. So I don't think that counts. And I would have to go with the Contemporary. I think by its name, it's supposed to be a very cutting-edge resort. And the rooms have recently been refurbished, and they do look really, really nice and fancy, and it makes me really want to stay there. But I think they could do more to the lobby to make it seem more cutting-edge and not sci-fi or futuristic, but contemporary, just like really, really modern design. And this is going to draw a lot of hate because I think a lot of people love it, but I think the art in the lobby on the wall, the giant like 4-story piece by, I believe it was Mary Blair who put it together, I think it needs to go. I think it's beautiful in its own, and I think it's great, but I think it kind of has an antiquated or old vibe to it, and I don't know, maybe it's just not my style of art, but that would be the first thing. I would remove that and put something else there, and I know that's blasphemous to some, but you know, I'm all for change. Let's see. Lynn Ashley Ward asks, hey Rob, you talked a little bit about having different videos shown in Saurin. Do you think this will happen? And if so, what other places would you want to be shown? Thank you and have a magical day. I don't think it'll happen. So what she's referring to is in a revisiting, I think, for Saurin, or in the past referencing Saurin. I thought the coolest way to innovate on it is to change the video you see. Now, there have been talks about them eventually replacing it and, you know, them filming new footage for a new Saurin. But filming relative to building an attraction is really cheap, so why not make them multiple and switch it up constantly? Different regions, different areas. I mean, the idea is you're plopped in that seat and you get to experience like this really cool view. Why not play with that? And my original revisiting idea was to take it out of the land pavilion and put it in all of the country pavilions, so you'd have, you know, Saurin over Japan and Saurin over Morocco, and they would feature each of those countries. I think that would be really cool. Or maybe just put one in the center, like, you know, I don't know where they'd have the space for this, but make just one in World Showcase that did all of the countries, and then randomize it so every time you ride it, it's a different country, and it gives you, you know, a reason to go back and re-ride it, and I think it'd be really cool. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to replace the one video with another one video. But I would like to see all those countries mainly. Let's see. Next question comes from JP 2166. I love this one. What type of concept technology would you like to see in the parts of future parts Disney? Epcot, various Tomorrowlands. Oh, the futuristic parts of the parks. This includes things like maglev, quantum levitation, programmable materials, holographic projectors, etc. I mean, ideally, seeing all of that would be really cool. I don't know how much of that's plausible. I don't want to see any of it in Tomorrowland. I think Tomorrowland, it has shifted its image from being something about the future to a, warm look at what we thought the future was going to be like. And so I don't want to see Tomorrowland look cutting edge. I want to see it look the way we thought it was going to be, like, 50, 60 years ago. But Epcot, yeah, I would love to see that in Future World. Specifically, I did a revisiting of Innoventions, which you can watch here. I hope I annotate. Where I talk about how I essentially want to see Innoventions turned into sort of a year-round consumer electronics show where all these companies are showing off the latest in high-tech gadgetry. I think that's the most important. This cool stuff, quantum levitation, maglev, I think on a infrastructure scale, on a country's, scope, is cool. But I think really what would get people excited about the future is consumer electronics, because that's what we experience. That's what, you get the newest phone, the newest gadget, and that makes you excited for the future. And so I would want to see Epcot use more of that. Maybe not use them in attractions, but feature more of that so that people could get excited for technology in the future. Next question comes from, this is a twofer. So we've got Devin on Minecraft who asks, do you feel that Winnie the Pooh, you spelled it Wine the Pooh, by the way, is becoming forgotten? How do you think Disney should make it relevant again? And then we have the Walry who asks, with the amount of hype still around Frozen, it seems people have forgotten about one of my favorite Disney movies, 2011's Winnie the Pooh. So my question is, what is, in your opinion, the most underrated or underappreciated Disney movie? Okay, so Winnie the Pooh, I think, becoming forgotten maybe a little bit. It's a classic. Yeah, there's movies a couple of years ago, but it's as a property, it's really classic, and it's a delicate balance, because what do you do there? Because I think, in my honest opinion, to make Winnie the Pooh relevant, you would need to change it so much that I think Winnie the Pooh fans would be angry with that. And so it becomes a question of, do you change it to make it relevant, or is that worth it if it's going to change so much that it isn't the same anymore? And I'd almost say leave it, let it become a classic that's more of a smaller, diehard fan community than to, use wittier, snappier humor to get a younger crowd in. Like, I don't want to see it change. I think Winnie the Pooh's charming. I think what it would take to make it relevant would sort of ruin that charm. So I'd almost want it to become a classic. As for what I think is the most underrated or underappreciated Disney movie, that is tough. Because there's so much. Do we talk about theatrical animated? Theatrical live action? Do we talk about the Disney made-for-TV movies that they did like every month in the 90s? Zenon, Girl of the 21st Century, most underrated. I'm picking that. Zenon and Zenon the Sequel. I love those films because I love science fiction, and the idea of living on a space station was really exciting to me as a kid. So I really have a fond place in my heart with those movies. So that would be my most underappreciated movie. Wow. That's a throwback. Yeah, if you've never seen it, go look up Zenon, Girl of the 21st Century. And then our final question this week comes from 14 Orange Gamer, who asks, I have a question. What do you think of Disney getting rights to Spider-Man? He's rumored to be seen in the next Civil War, which makes a lot of sense given the comics, but unlike the comics, he's Miles Morales, not Peter Parker. Is that confirmed? I know that they've talked about getting Spider-Man into the Marvel Universe. I didn't hear anything about it not being Peter Parker, though. I'd have to look into that. I think it's great. He's a Marvel character. He belongs in that universe, and it's a shame because it's not like it's anybody's fault. Marvel at the time wasn't thinking about producing all these films on their own, so it made sense for them to sell off, X-Men to Fox and Spider-Man to Sony. And of course, now that Marvel's big and blowing up, these companies don't want to give up the property. So I think this sort of collaboration is the best we're going to get out of it. And personally, in my opinion, the Avengers, including the Black Widow and Hawkeye, was essentially, in my opinion, that was their way of going, well, we can't get Spider-Man, we can't get any of the X-Men, so we need fillers. So maybe we could get, now that we get Spider-Man in there, the big question will be, you know, Sony's going to be producing their own Spider-Man spin-off films that take place in this universe. So these are going to be the first Marvel films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that aren't being made by Marvel directly. And so even though they're going to be collaborating, my interest is in seeing how the quality holds up, because the last Spider-Man films weren't very good and Sony made those. So hopefully Disney and Marvel can guide Sony into making a good Spider-Man franchise. And hopefully this goes well enough that they can then turn to Fox and do the same thing with the X-Men, because I'd love to see them all in the same universe. Anyway, there you have it. A bunch of Disney questions, all answered. If you have a Disney question, all you have to do is leave it in the comments below, or you can send it to me on Twitter. I'm at RobPlays. I want to thank you all for watching. Whatever you're doing this week, make the most of it, because it makes it that much better. And I'll see you next time for the next Disney Q&A. Bye, everybody.